Welcome back to Aliens Watching Reality TV. I'm Erika.
And I'm Erika's co-host, Josh.
You're making yourself like the guest, like you're...
I'm the color commentator.
Like your name, it would be in smaller font than mine?
No, mine would be like, and featuring.
Oh, yeah, and it would be in cursive. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's kind of like in a song, like you get the song, the main singer, and then it's like FT dot.
Oh, and this is the remix with Ariana Grande, and you're not Ariana Grande.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you remember the song WAP, right?
Yes.
It was by one singer featuring another singer.
Yes. A collab. I think it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're straying further from our original.
Yeah, for those of our listeners who were living under the rock, there's a song called WAP.
Oh my god, okay, no. This is not what we need to talk about right now.
And you should listen to it.
Okay, listeners, there's a show called Love is Blind. And it's back. Season 6 just premiered on Netflix this week. Episodes 1 through 6. I like that they are giving us more episodes at a time now. They had done 1 through 4 in previous seasons, but I think they learned that like we are going to churn through these episodes, and your cast members are going to violate their NDAs and spoil things in the news. So just like get the episodes out. Don't drag it out too long, because we are going to stalk everyone's Instagrams until we figure out who gets married anyway. And by we, I mean other people on Reddit.
Yeah, that's what happened last. I was saying that's what happened last semester.
I mean,
that's what happened last season.
Yeah,
where
people are absolute like
Carter and Renee.
Yeah, people are really good at analyzing every little detail of people's social media, which I just don't have the interest, but I will read their analysis after they have, collated the data. We are in North Carolina this time, and I feel like you can really tell the Christian girl autumn hair is pervasive. If you don't know what Christian girl autumn is, just Google it, and then you'll be like, oh, I get it. It's just like a type of hair that a certain kind of influencer has, and it's the long curls that like apparently are required if you want to live in North Carolina. And oh my god, I noticed at the beginning, I don't know, it's really bothered me in episode 1, and then I guess I stopped noticing it. But all the guys were wearing like dress shoes with no socks. Ew. I didn't like it.
I didn't even notice.
Wow, North Carolina has some really specific cultural features, that's interesting.
I did not know that we were fashion police. I thought we were alien watching reality TV. Although I have my own opinions, if anyone wants them.
First of all,
I think
I'm offended that you would call me any kind of police, but fashion is part of human expression, and I think it's very interesting to talk about.
I think some of the things that they wore, I think the women were very well dressed.
Yeah.
I don't think the men really had any sense going. Like there was nothing really special going on with what the men were.
I think there's I can definitely see what look is in for men. It's just not personally. I don't like it. Like pants have gotten very shrunken. Like you put them in the dryer on high heat, and they are like showing some ankle, and you can see the imprint of your wallet through your pocket. It's just like looks a little uncomfortable
Yeah,
to
you're
me.
constantly afraid that it's just gonna burst open.
But what's fun is that like girls have had that kind of like tight jean um format like in style many times. I've never lived through a time or witnessed a time when men were wearing really skinny pants, but women were like had more flexibility in their pants. Like wide leg pants are still kind of in for girls. Like, you can finally it's like it's their turn to show every crevice of their body through their clothes.
Oh my god. I cannot take really tight pants. I'm always afraid that it's just gonna like burst at the seams and
I
the
mean, it
person's dick
happens.
and balls are just gonna like fall down. I've seen it happen. Like I've literally seen it happen. So
Yeah.
it's a constant fear. I see someone with really tight pants. I'm just I'm like, God, please do not let this be
I've
the day that
split my
I get to
pants
witness.
down the middle on a trampoline.
Oh my God. Were you wearing something underneath?
Oh my god, yes. Um,
Okay. All right.
I am not freeballing it ever. That's not for me. I'm also I I have heard anyways that there are like always wearing socks autistic people and never wearing socks autistic people. And these camps seem to be very polarized and passionate, and I am in the camp of
Yeah.
always wearing socks. I don't want to feel my feet on anything.
Yeah. I kind of, so
Gross.
that's the thing. Here's the deal, yo.
Yeah,
I don't like wearing shoes without socks. I can
I think
wear
that's
sandals without socks.
sensible.
I can walk around barefoot. But the problem with shoes is that you start to precipitate,
Yeah, okay,
and
I
that
think that means you have
precipitation.
actually completely normal opinion about socks. You are the
Yeah. I mean, the thing
you're
the
wearing
socks
socks
do
the
is
way
that
they're
they
supposed
kind
to
of
be worn.
the socks basically are a cushion between the leather
Yeah,
and the sweat on your foot,
yeah, so then
so that your sweat doesn't
you don't
get
get like
mixed up
foot
with the
fungus
leather.
and nasty smelling shoes.
Exactly. That's why they exist.
Yeah,
So please utilize them if you
yeah.
can.
For me, I don't want to feel the world through my feet. I don't like it. Uh,
I kind of just want to forget about my feet.
exactly. I don't want to. I don't want to know they exist, except for that they're just magically
Mhm.
propelling me forward. So socks all the time. That's me. Anyways, so
Yeah.
yeah, North Carolina. Which every I've been watching this with Frida, and every time she says North Carolina, I just start against my will singing "Raise Up" by P.D. Pablo because it starts with the words North Carolina. And she's begging me to stop because it's really annoying, but it's the song that says, uh, take your shirt off and twist it around your head like a helicopter. So that's what I'm associating with North Carolina. These,
After, you know what I associate with North Carolina now?
what?
I very, very deeply associate Trump with North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, like North Carolina is a Trump country for me.
I mean,
I
it
read,
is for sure.
yeah, like that's really, for me, that's what it's special for.
I will admit, the Christian, the level of Christianity in this season is too much for me.
Mm.
It's gaggy. I don't want to hear everybody talk about Jesus, but like, I get it. They like it, whatever. But it's like, no, there definitely is a difference. Doing it in North Carolina, like the show is impacted by Southern culture, um, and overall the contestants are probably more politically conservative than
Mm.
so.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, although we're not seeing a guy wearing, American flag ship.
They're not doing. I think they are doing a really good job. Not making the same mistakes as last season, because last season had some truly like horrifying men who deeply hate women, and it was very much infused with like an alt-right MAGA type of conservative guy.
Mhm.
And this time, they're that is not who's on the show this time, and I'm very glad, because I did say if there was another season like last season, I would have to stop watching the show, and I don't have to stop watching it, because I think they went back to like a more classic kind of Love is Blind vibe, where it's a little more well, it's less fucking evil, and it's a little more genuine and, sweet.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely the at least the first episode.
Yes,
that
which is
gonna
what we're
talk
talking about right now. I'll admit, I've watched a few.
There was no. I mean, I didn't really catch anything at the level of the. I in fact didn't know what state this was in, so
Well, you're
I
welcome.
couldn't tell by the end of episode 1 that this was in North Carolina. So they're doing a good job of masking that.
Honestly, episode 1 of Love is Blind is always weird, because I have to remember that, like, I'm going to form opinions of people, and they're going to be wrong, and I'm going to change them, because you can't tell in episode 1 if somebody like has a horrible personality or they are masking a horrible personality. And it takes a couple more episodes for that to become clear. So it's like I have to remember that episode 1, I think it's impossible to accurately like form an opinion on anyone, because so many of them act differently in the beginning than they do the rest of the show,
Yeah.
and even if they don't necessarily mean to, but yeah, a lot of people, I think, especially like sort of, well, we'll get into it with Matthew, but a lot of weird, awkward people are much more likable when they're just being weird and awkward, and when they're trying to be cool and normal, they're horrible. Like,
No.
so it's always hard to tell, and I think that ends up being the kind of main drama of episode 1, is like, what is Matthew's deal? Is he just genuinely like having a hard time socially, or is he using that as an excuse to just be an asshole to women? Because men do that, like they do, and like social anxiety is not an excuse for not making any effort to like care about other people's feelings, and usually the men who use it that way, like, they're not autistic. They could get the social shit right if they wanted to. They just don't care about other people. And so in the beginning, with somebody like Matthew, I think it's impossible to tell, because it's like you see these two different people, and it's like, okay, which one is you, though? I don't know yet.
Yeah, and do I want to find out which one is you?
Yeah, hell yeah, I do.
And so there's just Matthew is independently wealthy, which means he does something related to wealth management, I believe.
Yeah. Although I think everyone on Love is Blind is wealthy. That's how they can afford to do it. Hey, can we pause for a second?
And in one of the conversations he goes, I am not here to become a C-list celebrity.
Yeah. Which, like, is funny and, like, true, but also, rude.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I immediately thought of the couple, Deep D, not the couple, like
Oh,
Deep
Natalie and
D and
DT. I think just
Natalie and D.
most people who've been on the show.
Yeah, pretty much
But
everyone
also,
on the
what's wrong with
show is
being
a
a celebrity? Nothing. So, going through the show kind of chronologically, um, the first my big topic that comes up is they have a single mom on the show for the first time, and um, yeah, I knew that this was going to happen, and I was very excited about it. But I am curious, what before I just start saying all my opinions, what did you think about her decision to like wait to tell people that she has a kid?
I honestly felt fine about it. I didn't feel bad about it at all. Like, you kind of want to protect your kids. What if somebody on the other side is a pedo, you know? Like, you never know. You need to trust people to be able to tell them that.
To tell
That's it. That's my thought.
That's very interesting because I have like the opposite opinion, but for the same reason. Um, so I think, because I've experienced this as the kid. I've been the kid who um, meets people that my parents are dating and has step parents, and um, and I think that like it's really, really important to make sure that the person you're dating like wants to have a relationship with your kids, like wants to be a step parent, like likes your kids, is nice to them. And she was so focused on like, I want to meet a husband, and it's like, no, I think you really need to care more about like also somebody who wants to be a dad, because like that shit really matters. It really matters if your stepdad is good to you or not, sees you like his own or not. And she's like, I being a mom doesn't define me, but like it also does. And not and that's not a bad thing. Like, of course there are other things about you. You are not just reproduction, but when you are dating and you are a parent, I really do think that you should be putting like the welfare of your children first. Um, so that doesn't mean they meet your kids right away, not at all. But they should know you have kids. I don't think that there's a danger in telling people that you have kids. They're not gonna like go kidnap them because they've just found out they exist.
No, I don't mean that they're going to go kidnap them, but like, just what if somebody there is a predator and like you don't want that person to hone in on you and start dating you just because, you know
Oh,
what I
you
mean?
think somebody would date you because you have kids?
Yeah, you want people to date you because you are a mother and or a father and a good parent. Sure. But another thing that comes into mind here really is that I dated someone who had kids. Um, she had two kids. She shared custody, and she was just like, I don't want you to ever meet my kids.
Yeah,
I don't want you to be in their life in any way. And that's that.
and that's legit too.
Never met them.
For just like I've done the same thing. When I was 23, I dated a guy who was 34 and had two kids, and I thought it was super weird that he had kids, but I never met them. We only hung out when they were at, their mom's house. And he was really strict about who he let meet his kids, which I thought was great. And I knew like we were not going to be anything serious. So um, it was a really good thing to not. It's important to not introduce your kids to a whole bunch of people that you don't know very well. Like, yeah, you should only introduce your kids to people you're serious about. Um, and you
Yeah.
should be having conversations with your kids about their personal bodily autonomy, and because the people most likely to abuse you are your dad and your stepdad. Those are literally the two people most likely
Yeah.
to
So
abuse
that's
anyone.
again, I feel like that's another thing, like the desire to like protect any future stepdad, like protect her daughter from any future stepdad who might have any inclinations like that, you know?
I just
Um,
think it's a
so
lot more likely that you're just gonna have a stepdad who's fucking mean or really just wanted the woman and the kids. He's gonna deal with them. Um, that and That's like what most stepdads are like, and that sucks. Um,
yeah, that's unfortunate.
yeah, like I don't know. I think I'm gonna focus on the thing that happens way more frequently. Not that I want to, uh, you know, diminish the importance of protecting kids from abuse because it is important, super important. Um, but I also think it is like, well, it's not very common. It's not the first thing to worry about with people. I would say the first thing to worry about is that they're mean. But yeah, I think it's important, if you have kids, date people who actually want kids. Um, actually, like, understand that, like, they are not going to have a relationship just with you, but you will be a family all together. Because yeah, I've had step parents that uh, that did care about me, and ones that didn't. And believe me, it affects your life a lot. um,
Yeah, no shit.
yeah, and also there's nothing wrong with not wanting kids because like I don't want kids, and so I would not want to date anyone seriously who wants kids or has kids. So like I think it's important to make sure early on that you're on the same page, and I feel like um it's too important of a topic and too short of a time frame for her not to tell people up front. Because also, like, if a guy is not interested in you because you told him right off the bat that you have a kid, that's obviously not the person for you.
So what you're saying is that how quickly, like how many sentences in?
I think whenever you're getting to the point you're talking about personal stuff, where I live, what my hobbies are, what like when it would just naturally
So
come
you
up.
just be like, you're like, yeah, so yeah, I'm into bowling and I also dabble into golf and yeah, I have a
And I
kid
hang
and
out with my
the
kid.
car.
Yeah, like I hope you hang out with your kid. If not, get off this
It's
dating show
really
and go hang out with your kid. I'm not saying that about her. I'm just saying in general. Because yeah, I also uh not not to shade my dead grandma, but whatever. Um, I had a grandma who was hold on, I'm not done. I had a grandma who was very focused on getting a man and not having a man who wanted her kids. And she had 6 different husbands. She put my mom through so much, and then she gave up her kids and let them, let their dad have custody because she got a new husband who didn't want them. And like how much Jess was just talking about wanting a man and a husband and stuff was like, I just think that's a really bad way to look at it because he's not just going to be a man, not just going to be a husband. Like you need somebody who, and it's not that like a stepdad has to take the place of a dad or anything, but like, um, the relationship they have with your kids is just as important as the relationship they have with you. And I think if you don't feel that way, like that concerns me.
yeah, I don't I mean we are in North Carolina after all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna disagree with lots of these people's life choices. We're very different. Every time some girl on this show says something about I want to be led, or so I was like, oh God, cut that out. What the fuck?
Yeah, so the thing that I wanted to say was the thing about the kid, like her having a kid, isn't just that she had a kid. It's that like she had a kid very, very young, and her kid is like old enough to be her friend and like super involved in her life.
Which
You
really is
know?
like bonus. You got through a lot of the hard parts. Don't have to change diapers.
Yeah. Like
Pre-made kid.
that's one of the best part. Yeah. Plus, she's gonna turn 18 in like 8 years. So like,
After which she will still be part of your life, and you'll be
I mean, but she's not gonna be living with you. You know?
probably because she's going to be Gen Alpha, and they won't have any money. They'll have even less
That's
money than
true.
we do.
That is true. All right. So do we take him? Do we take the guy who had to hear this to his next shock?
Huh?
So Jesse, let's continue. I'll let you lead on. I will let you be the leader in this relationship.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referencing, but I was just going to move on to Trevor and Chelsea.
Let's get into them.
All right. What do you think?
Trevor and Chelsea.
Trevor has a mullet, and Chelsea is a flight attendant who looks like all the other girls who have brown hair, but she has tattoos on her arms too.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember them both.
Okay.
I think Trevor is sweet.
I love Trevor.
I think
He's
Trevor.
my favorite.
Yeah, I think Trevor is sweet and he deserves someone amazing. I feel like Chelsea, I don't know too much yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, Trevor I definitely like. What about you?
Yeah, Trevor is just my kind of person. I think he's really funny. Like, and no spoilers, but the more we get to know him over episodes, I'm like, yep, that's exactly how I think and like how my feelings work. Which, fill in the blanks of what that means about a person. But it's cool.
Yep, he's definitely neurodivergent.
Yeah, for sure. And
he's in a dating show, once in a lifetime opportunity for most people, and he's got a mullet.
I love it.
It's really adorable as fuck.
Yeah. He's fun. Yeah, Chelsea is I like her. I think she's this season's Johnny, where like she is very damaged by past relationships, and that has made her kind of vulnerable and people pleasing, and she wants to break out of that, but I'm not sure that she is actually going to break out of that because it's such an ingrained pattern. And so like she is like, I think sometimes people, guys like her because she makes them feel good about themselves, not because like they learn a whole bunch about her, But that's a dig more on the guys than Chelsea, Chelsea.
Do you think this is the same case with Trevor as well?
No. I do think Trevor's different, and partly just because honestly how they made the jokes right off the bat that he said, "Oh, my dog's name is Chelsea," which is true. And then she said, "My dog's name is Trevor." Yeah. And like they do have just a sense of humor and stuff that clicks. And so I I think that their connection is different, and you can see it's easy, and that makes me worry because a lot of the time in real life and on Love is Blind, people, if they have a choice between like a love that comes easily and a love that is hard, one that makes them, feel good and doesn't feel like a whole bunch of work, and then one where their stomach is in knots all the time, they choose the hard one because they think that's more real, but it's not. The having like a relationship that's easy and doesn't have a bunch of problems doesn't doesn't mean that the love isn't real. That's just a product of past trauma that you've experienced. And yeah, I feel like, every season you see people making the choice between, am I really going to start dating people who actually care about me, or am I going to keep staying in my self-destructive patterns? And Trevor is her option to date somebody who actually genuinely really likes her. Yeah. We'll see if she takes it. All right, so next up we see Jimmy with Chelsea, and then Jimmy with Jessica. And I feel like those three relationships in a row are just very interesting to compare with each other, because you can see that like some of the conversations are more fun, that they seem happier, but they don't necessarily correlate the experiences they enjoy the most with like the person that they decide they have the most feelings for, that's interesting. I think, maybe we just blow off things that come too easily.
Yeah, no, I was actually thinking about that today. And yeah, it is a human tendency. Like, the notion of the phrase high risk, high reward.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as if we feel like if something is low risk, then the reward is like nothing. The
Yeah.
reward is also very low. And that's not always the case. What the real variable, the variable that determines everything, is luck. And you never really know what luck decides to hand you. And
Well, and I think
so
sometimes
this,
there are things that are low risk, high reward, and that's just, it is real. And so it's a cognitive fallacy to always see that as low value. And I definitely think things in our life, like our relationships with our family, friends, the people who love us, like those should be low risk, high value in your life. And but people want validation from whoever is giving it to them the least, and it's very possible to break out of that, but most people don't. So I think that's mostly it. It's just like, if somebody gives you validation too easily, then you think that it doesn't mean as much to you. But if somebody's hot and cold with you, this is how fuckboys manage to fuck so much. This is the playbook.
this is how fuckboys manage to fuck so much. Oh my god.
Yeah. Then, okay, we meet Matthew, and he says, I make really bad first impressions. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you make bad second impressions also, because in the beginning, he just strikes me as like rude, but I also have, I know that like this is so edited. And I was trying to put myself in his shoes and think like, okay, how would I feel in that overstimulating and like uncomfortable environment? I could get to a point where like I am so overwhelmed that like I can't sound like be nice, and I know like that is possible. Yeah. What was your first impression? Actually, I do. I think you texted me your first impression. You did not like it.
No. Can you read it? What did I say?
Okay.
It's something about kick rocks.
Yeah. Mm, well, we text too much. Oh yeah, because you texted it to Frida and me. Yeah, Matt can kick rocks. And then a little bit later, actually, Clay can kick rocks.
Yeah. No. It was there were reasons for Clay kicking rocks. So Matt really starts off kind of whatchamacallit, like he seems very, very strange and out of place.
Well, he seems kind of hostile, you know?
Yeah.
Which some people are
And I
like
wonder
that
how
on
much
dates
of
because they're mean at their core, and I don't like those people. And I couldn't
and I
tell at first
wonder
if
how
that's
much
what he
of
was
that was
doing.
editing.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of the mystery of Matthew, which pervades this episode.
Yeah, and Matthew meets AD.
Yeah, and then he's totally different around her.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, I can see that maybe this is somebody he feels comfortable around. Now he's finally being open and honest, and this person is likable. And so then this is just another example of what I know happens first episode every season is that there are neurodivergent people who have a very unlikable mask um and so I don't like them the first episode, and then I like them as the season goes on and they show their actual real personality. Like that happened with Zach and Paul in season 4, you know? Zach started off with, "Oh, I'm a stripper," as a joke, and I was like, "Fuck this dude." And then after a while, he wasn't, putting on that artifice anymore. And then I was like, oh, "Okay, he's actually all right." So then we get to the scenes with AD and Matthew, and he's like a completely different person. And they don't really show any kind of transition into him being a completely different person. So it is jarring. But it also makes sense to me if I think about, situations in which I've been incredibly uncomfortable. When I'm around people I can't connect with and I feel lonely, I'll be totally quiet. But then when you meet somebody who just you connect with for whatever reason you feel comfortable with, you can be yourself. And once he started being himself, I'm going to put quotes around that. Then he was pretty likable. The problem is like I don't know which is the real him, you know? Um and it seems AD is the only person that he has shown this likable side of himself to, because everyone is fucking shocked that she's going on dates with him. And they are a really weird pair, but I can't really imagine them together, but I think it would be very interesting. And so for like the sake of engaging television, I'm rooting for them. Also because I'm rooting against Clay, but we can talk about that next.
Yeah, I think for me,
Yeah,
Clay just needs to go fuck
yeah.
off. Like, you've come to a show that it's all about. No, literally, like, how many times somebody has to like sit him down and be like, "Did you actually read the contract? Do you understand what this is about? Because if you don't, you can leave." um, But as far as
But he wants to be on TV, and this is the one he
I
could get
mean,
on.
welcome to TV. Now, fuck off. You've had your, I don't know, 15 seconds of fame.
Yeah. Clay bugs me because he's actually like likable at first. And because like I want to, my instinct is to take people at face value and believe them, but it's it's obvious to me that like he's kind of doing the equivalent of name dropping, like all the things he knows he should say um too perfectly for it to possibly not be like fabricated. um and it just becomes apparent that like his personality is a character, and um I don't know who the real person is because he's always performing, he also like says some kind of he accidentally says some sort of like disturbingly self-centered things a couple times because he doesn't even notice that they're weird, um which is telling. I honestly I can't remember like the extent of what Clay did just in episode 1. So, because I watched the whole season now, so I'm gonna not say anything else because I don't want to spoil anything.
But no, like we can talk about how AD like totally caught on. Like AD was very, very smart, has already dealt with fuck boys, and she was not gonna have it. She's gonna like let him know. But I would like to see him put down
Yeah,
some
and she
honor.
can tell, like, even through the wall, she can tell that Clay is the guy she would usually go for. That's the guy she goes for in real life.
Yeah,
That's the guy she knows doesn't want a real relationship and it never works. And so she is going to try a new thing that
yeah.
is outside her comfort zone, but that's why she came here. And I think that's great. And
It's
I feel like
admirable.
you see
Yeah, like it's admirable
I think
in a
it's also
really.
very
Yeah,
healthy.
like it's somebody saying, "Listen, I'm very comfortable with these kinds of people, and this is the kind of guy that I go for anyway." And you kind of go for people that you naturally want to go for. You know what I mean? Like you follow your desires, sort of most of the time. And she's sort of,
You also follow your trauma.
I mean, not.
Insecure attachment people are pursuing avoidant attachment people. Like it's not necessarily like. Also, you have to ask like, what does that mean? Drawn to, because a lot of people mistake like pain for passion. You know, they think relationships that are full of fighting and yelling that's real love, and if you guys just like get along all the time,
Yeah, I've had people
that
speak like that
that's
to me, and I was like,
not like
that's not
that's
happening." Like, I'm sorry.
it's not true
What kind of
at
love is
all.
like yelling at each other all the time? That's very unhealthy.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
like,
I'm okay.
love should be easy. Actually, it's just relationships are the work, but love is
Love
easy.
is easy. All right, I'm gonna point Erica on this.
um all right, yeah.
But Matthew is.
So you've only watched episode 1, so I trust you to bring up
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
No, no. I mean, for me,
the topics to discuss.
Matthew starts off as somebody like it appears like he's somebody just extremely picky and self-centered and only loves himself. Um and after the conversation we just had, like if you'd had a trauma, like a very traumatic event in your life, you might look at people like that. Like I've certainly there have been times in my life where I've just completely written someone off because of like a very small thing from the past that has bugged me, which they had not even like had a part with, partly because of my trauma. Um, but at first he came off like a jerk. But then he was very nice to AD. Like, he's super nice to AD. And I feel like AD is still unsure at the end of episode 1 how those feelings are going.
Yeah, because he is something new, so it's hard to know, like, is this real? Are you real? Can life be like this? Are people like this? And it's hard to know. It's hard to know, like, how much of his feelings are genuine and how much of them are practiced.
Yeah, and so we have a triangle with Clay and AD and Matthew, in which one of them is certainly a jackass, and the other two we're kind of like rooting for a little bit. Not mainly we're rooting for AD, but like Matthew just happens to be the person AD's interested in, and
I think Matthew and AD will be fascinating TV. AD and Clay, I don't really want to watch, so we already know what that's going to be like.
Yeah,
it's just going to be kind of like toxic.
He kind of reminds me of somebody.
And
he kind of reminds me of another guy. Like, he's the guy from last season who was I'm trying to clap so I can remember. Like, he was last season.
I don't know.
He was kicked out. He was kicked out. The girl was like, I don't want to meet him.
The fish guy?
No, who was that guy?
What?
There was an African American couple.
No idea what you're talking about.
And they didn't end up. Nothing happened because the guy was like, one of the girls here is here for me.
Oh, Uche.
Uche. Yeah. He's the Uche. Oh, yeah. Clay is the Uche of season 6.
Yeah. Uche was more interesting, though, because he was more unhinged.
Yeah. Uche just had an incredibly unhealthy ego. Like, he just came off as fucking, I don't care about anyone else. Like, it's just me. I am... I'm the only one that matters.
And that's like a difference between an Uche type and a Clay type, is that Clay is open about these like flaws of his, and whereas Uche would deny having a big ego, I think. Clay admits Trumpy. It readily.
Super Trumpy, Clay. He was like, he would just like completely, like you said, like he denied that he was wrong when you could clearly show him that he was wrong.
But like he will talk about, basically he says, I'm going to treat you badly, but I will try not to, and it's very manipulative because it makes people think that somebody is actually like being vulnerable and open and sharing, and because they're showing you, and that they're like self-aware, because a lot of times we think self-awareness is the first step to change, but a lot of people, they go to self-awareness and then they don't do that's it. They might recognize their patterns, but they're not really interested in changing them. And so sometimes the guys who will, warn you that they're recovering fuckboys or whatever, they're doing that as a tactic. They're telling you to your face how badly they're going to treat you. And that, yeah. And so, like, I feel like Clay he's already doing the, hot and cold, like, hot. Get somebody addicted to your love thing.
Get somebody addicted to your love thing. Like, there's this great quote from Bob Marley where he's like, the world, like, people who make people who make others fall in love with them without reciprocating that love are the biggest cowards in the world. And so he's one of those people who makes you fall in love with them, but he like doesn't fall in love with you unless he's all his petty conditions have been met. or
or
use the
he
love
doesn't really fall in love, or
or
like
manipulate.
I don't think every
Yeah.
yeah, like I think sometimes people don't give you the love that you're looking for because they can't,
Yeah.
um and yeah, Clay, it just I think he is likable, and I can't necessarily I can't tell when he's lying or not, and so I try I just try to stay away from those people because I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to manage this well. Like
Yeah.
I I can recognize them. I have enjoyed people I've been nice to people like this before, and I thought they were being nice to me, and I didn't
You're
realize.
wrong.
Um, yeah, because it just never occurred to me. All the ways that people lie and manipulate. Um, and yeah, I think they're not in this episode, but Clay shows some, just sides of himself that I think are deal breakers, and um, and I think AD, she is flirting with the idea of just continuing with her pattern,
Mhm.
like being able to see it, but then still doing it. It's because it still feels right, even if you know it isn't. And yeah, and
The
it's
devil
hard.
you know
It's hard.
is versus the devil you don't know.
Better
Yeah.
than the devil you don't. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, and I think yeah, that makes sense because she knows if she chooses Clay, sort of what their relationship will be like. If she chooses Matthew, what the fuck is that going to be like? Like maybe great, maybe horrible. Like
Yeah, who knows?
it's different in so
He's
many
a white
ways.
guy. And in this episode, by the way, episode 1, we haven't talked about this, but Clay is African American, as is AD, and Matthew is a white guy. But it seems like to AD at least, it doesn't feel like Matthew knows that she's African American.
Oh no, I think
In episode,
she wants to make
yeah, yeah,
sure,
yeah. But
but
there's this, there's
yeah.
still this little doubt in episode 1, so we don't know for sure. But Clay and AD also know each other, know this fact about each other that they are African Americans, both of them. Um, um, and
Yeah.
so there is that comfort
I
as
don't
well, like dating within your race, even like even dating somebody who's a fuckboy within your race is like less risky than dating someone outside your in this country where
well, if that's, who you've always dated, just because she says she's never dated a white guy before, and
Yeah.
it would be different. So then we get to the most dramatic part of the show, the one you've all been waiting for, when Jessica finally, after at least 3 or 4 dates, is going to tell Jimmy that she is a mom.
Yeah, and it's very, very unbeknownst to her, someone else has also harbored a secret and is wanting to tell Jimmy on the same day about that. And so Jimmy is about to get 2 big surprises.
Yeah, it's even more unbeknownst to Jimmy. He's the unbeknownstest.
Yeah. And the thing is, he's all right with the first one. Like, he handles the first one well. But then when the second thing happens, he's just like, holy shit, like, fuck, man.
Describe it.
And
describe it for the listener.
So this is what happens. So Jessica comes around and finally tells Jimmy that she has a daughter, and her daughter is like 10 years old.
Yes.
And so Jimmy's at first he's
sorry.
He takes a second to like digest. Anybody who tells you something like that, like you need a second to just digest, like to find the words to express what you really feel like. And he expresses good feelings,
Well, the first thing he says is, why haven't we talked about this earlier? Which is
something that everyone would say.
I absolutely thought they should have talked about it earlier. Oh.
Yeah, that is something that everyone would say. I would have said the same thing. I was like, well, why didn't you tell me before?
But yeah, I think he handled it as well as you could for something
As
that
any,
unexpected.
like, as well as you could hope. Like, if you were given multiple options, and one of the options was like you sucked, one of them was you did the greatest job, and this was also an option there, and you would like, you don't have to like rely on luck, you could just pick this one, you would pick this one. It was very it was
Well,
very like the kind of response that Jessica wanted was this, like a little like
I don't know. I mean,
whatchamacallit.
I don't know. She probably would prefer to have somebody say they definitely want kids, and he's not sure. Um,
Yeah.
but I think he responded as well as you can ask like a 27-year-old who isn't sure about what they
Yeah. Oh
want
my God.
to do.
27-year-old me would have never dated someone with kids. I would have just, at
Me
that moment, I
neither.
would have said, all
But I
right,
did
I
have
need
a
to tell you
27-year-old
something.
stepmom. So it's like some
Yeah.
people can do it.
Yeah. No, no, no. Like, I would be like, listen, I categorically do not want to have children. And so I am not going to date you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and
This
now
is
we have
not
these
about you.
feelings for each other that we've developed
It's
over
about your kid.
these last
Hate
2
me
weeks.
forever.
No,
No, no. I mean,
I thought it was
so
really a tough position for him to be in,
yeah, it was. And
and
he
he managed it
managed
very
it. Like,
well.
he managed it. And he gets out of here. And he goes into the next room. And for a second, I felt like maybe he was not into Jessica as much. Or maybe he was keeping his options open, which was probably the better answer. And so he's talking to Chelsea. And he's
I
telling
think
us
he
how
likes
excited
both,
he.
but Jessica stresses him out, and Chelsea is easy and relaxed. You know.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's why he's happy to see Chelsea. And instead of being easy and relaxed, Chelsea is having a really rough time because Chelsea tells him that she was also married to someone that she had known for years, and they had been married for 5 years, right? And
Yes.
then they divorced. But they had known each other since what, like grade school or something?
No, that was the other girl.
Oh, sorry,
This
that
was
was
her high school
Jessica.
sweetheart. They were married for 5 years.
Yeah.
It was all like good and positive, but they just grew apart and they got divorced. And so she wanted to tell him in case her being previously married would be some like deal breaker for him. She was very worried.
Yeah, so suddenly now you have another thing come up. Like, the first you had
But
someone
he,
who had been in a relationship with somebody since they were kids and then had a kid with them. And the kid is now 10 years old. And then you get out of that after handling that situation. And someone else is like, oh, I was actually married to my high school sweetheart for multiple years. And this is not the problem. The problem is that she actually she breaks down crying. And so now he has to now do something to like take care of the situation. Yeah, it's like suddenly you go from a frying pan, you fall on into the fire.
yeah, the thing is, she has no idea that he has just been given
Yeah,
the
she
news.
doesn't know that.
I have a
Yeah.
10-year-old child, and he's not trying to like talk about other people and spill their secrets. And so, just as soon as she says her news, he's like, "This is much like less like difficult news than what I've already like." He's trying to explain that the other news was much harder to take. This news isn't hard to take. He just is. It's just so much news all at once that like he's having a hard time processing. And the way Jimmy responded to Jessica's news is probably like his personal highlight for on the show. That's like the moment where I was like, I support him. He's doing this the best he can. And then the way that he handled Chelsea's big secret was like a comedy of errors, but a tragic one, because you can see on both sides they're both reading into it, and he is trying to say like, I don't care about this. It's just my brain is so overloaded right now. I can't formulate a good response. And it's kind of understandable that she takes that as oh wow, it's actually a really big deal to me that you used to be married. And but then she does something. I have a I do have this one part of my beef with Chelsea, um is she frequently like cries and doesn't like, or says I'm gonna barf or something, but like she doesn't express what that means, and then she just says I wish you could feel what I feel or whatever. It's like, well, they can't. You have to learn to at least put some uh words onto your feeling, even if it's just like thumbs up or thumbs down, because he has absolutely no idea like what how you're he has no idea that she's reacting this way because she's not saying it, and he's just like trying to process, but it gets way out of hand um because she jumps to conclusions and it won't like communicate. And I think it's not anybody's fault. And it would really suck just any time to tell somebody a big secret and then you just hear sort of a silence on the other end. Yeah, that's terrible. Um, but yeah, it just felt like uh that was too much thrown at him to be able to handle in one day, and I felt sympathy, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, but I think later on, Chelsea goes to see her, who I think is probably her man at this point, and he's actually very good about it. He's really amazing about it.
Oh,
Guess what I'm
Trevor?
talking about?
Oh,
Yeah,
Trevor,
Trevor's.
because Trevor's amazing. Yeah, no, Trevor makes an amazing joke because he asks her if you've ever been close to getting married, and she says, "Actually, I was um, married and divorced." And he's silent for like a second. He goes, "So you think that would count as pretty close?" Like,
Yeah, he's so, and he actually, yeah, he sounds. Yeah, I feel like he handles that situation like
honestly,
100%,
he's just
kind of what
very
you would have
emotionally
wanted to.
mature
Yeah,
and a good
yeah,
communicator. So like he handles all the situations well.
yeah, yeah. No, he handles it very, very well. Um,
And she's
and
like,
yeah, it's
this guy, if only I had feelings for him. That other guy, though, that made me cry.
yeah.
I hope things work out with him.
The other guy who himself got cried over. Yeah. Yeah. So that's where we are with episode 1, I think. Right.
No.
We
At
have
the
more
end.
of this. Oh my
There's
god, I
one
love
final
this.
thing.
Let's
Come
do
on.
this.
It's
I'm
it's
down.
the AD and Matthew twist.
What happens with AD and Matthew?
So AD has just had this amazing date with Matthew. It's even looking like Matthew's going to be her guy. And
Yeah. I thought we talked about it earlier, but yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, no, it's the very end of the episode. It's the cliffhanger. And she's, checking in with him. Like, are you being for real? Because, like, this means a lot to me. And he's like, yeah, this is 100% genuine. And so it feels
Yeah,
like,
like
damn, they're about to, take this
yeah. He's
brave
like,
step
I'm
off
just
the
gonna
cliff
come over
together.
right now. Like, step out. Like, I'm gonna take a
Yeah.
plane and like
Like,
take you to the
if
top
you
of a
want to
volcano.
leave now, let's just leave now. And then when she's back in the ladies' lounge, this other girl named Amber starts saying, "Oh, Ma, I had the greatest date today. He was saying such cute things. Like he said we could just leave today, and he would come find me right now." And
Pretty
it's
much
just
the exact language that
yeah,
was used.
without saying who it was, it's very obvious to AD who it was because it's like, oh, so he just had that conversation with somebody
Yeah.
else. But here's the thing. I have a conspiracy theory.
What is your conspiracy theory?
So when I rewatched it, because I couldn't remember Amber's name, I was looking for it. I saw that before they start the scene with Amber, their first like shot of the women's quarters, is there's AD's like journal, and so it's like a journal. It says AD on the front, and they do a close up of it for like a couple of seconds, where it's like it's focused on, and then they cut to Amber, who we've never seen before, and we've never seen any of Amber's scenes with Matthew. And Amber starts saying these things that happened in her date. And I feel like she's a plant and she read them in AD's journal, and then that she said them. And that's like, it's just the producers fucking fucking with
Is that what you think is going on?
Yeah.
The producers fucking with people?
Well, yeah. There just probably there wasn't enough drama. There was, and because it is weird that we don't see any of Amber's interactions, I mean, and yeah, it's a twist, but then then Amber's gone. So like Amber just came in, wrecked 80s world, and left again. But for real, just watch the end of episode 1 again, and watch how long they focus on that journal and the cut right to Amber. If it's not what happened, then I guess maybe they wanted to, make you think maybe that's what happened. But obviously people didn't think that's what happened, so that's probably not. I'm the only one I've heard who believes this.
Who believes this conspiracy theory?
But like, it's so purposeful. They really close up on the journal and then go right to Amber, and but it also, if it's not a producer's plant, it could also just be like Amber just did that. She just read Eddie's journal, and maybe it's because she wanted to ruin things for Matthew. She's a mean person. I don't know. I have no idea.
She's a mean person. I love that.
But like,
who knows? I mean, who could tell?
I want answers. What does the shot of the journal mean? Show us the Amber tapes. Release the Amber footage. Yeah. That's my new conspiracy theory. Last season, my conspiracy theory was, about Carter and Renee, and it turned out to be 100% correct. So maybe I'll go 2 for 2 this year. I don't know. This one's based on less, less information. It's a little shakier, but I feel pretty passionate about it.
All right. Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing the results of that conspiracy. Yeah.
For real though, I know. Just rewatch that scene. Everyone, I need somebody else to agree with me. Okay. We'll yeah. So, Josh is gonna go watch the rest of the episodes so that we can recap the rest of the episodes for you guys this week. And then there will be a new batch on Wednesday. So, yeah, I guess we gotta hurry up and have fun quickly.
All right, and until then.
Till death do us part. Amen. Goodbye.
See you.
Aliens Watching Reality TV is hosted by Erika Heidewald and Josh Shahryar. It's produced and edited by Erika Heidewald, that's me. And our theme song is Just World by Erika Heidewald, which is also me. Available for streaming on iTunes and Spotify. For $5 a month, you can subscribe to our Patreon and get an extra full-length episode of the podcast every week. Right now, we're covering Love is Blind Season 1. We'd love to hear from you. Our social media links are in the episode notes, or you can write to us at alienswatchingrealitytv@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and as always, until death do us part. Amen. Welcome to the world. Let me tell you what I've learned.